Welcome back to Clean Air Action's podcast, Cleaning Up Dirty. We talk politics with non-toxic people. I'm Liz Green-Schultz. I run a political nonprofit called Clean Air Action, the proud sister organization of the Clean Air Council, the oldest environmental and public health organization in Pennsylvania. We fight for your constitutional right to breathe healthy air. Over here at Clean Air Action, we fight dirty with clean. That applies to anyone who messes with our political and civil rights, including corporations and politicians. We are back with Danny Ceisler and Laura Otero. Thank you both for coming back.
Thank you for having us back.
It's great to be back.
We were just starting to get a little bit spicy talking about the Bucks County DA's race. Danny, I understand you played a role in that.
Yeah, played a role. I had an awesome 8-week campaign for District Attorney of Bucks County before it was cut short by world events. But had a great race, raised a ton of money, put out a really detailed policy platform that Liz and many, many others helped contribute to. It was a great experience, and may not be the last time I give something like that a shot.
Hopefully not.
Yeah.
It was a plot twist for me because I'll tell you, when we graduated law school, I did not expect to try to help you get elected anywhere.
Yeah. Well, the thing about you and I at the time was that our beliefs were fairly similar. It's the approach and the style that was different, and the way to try and get your policy ideas done. That's where we differed.
I totally agree. And we were too young to see how harmful that is to any movement, to any work for good in the world. So I'm happy to be here with you on the other side.
Yeah.
So tell us about why you had to pause your campaign.
So the district attorney's election was in 2021, but it really started in the fall of 2020. So it was really my experience at the Pentagon that inspired me to run. So I announced in November of 2020 and had been running for a couple months. And then January 6th happened. And I got a call from my friends who were working on the crisis management team in D.C. They were forming a new one in response to January 6th. And there was going to be this significant military buildup in D.C. and in areas around the country. And I was asked to join this new team, given my experience working on kind of a domestic unrest situation in response to George Floyd, and there was a lot of overlap. And I felt it.
Am I remembering correctly that your role in that involved protecting American civil liberties, ensuring that there was base level critical civil rights protections?
I don't know if I would phrase us as protecting civil liberty. It was more just protection. It was physical security of democratic processes.
To me, that feels like fundamental baseline civil rights and civil liberties protections, because as we've seen over the last few years, there are moments where there's a physical element to those rights being endangered.
It was physical security. It was physical security. That's what it was.
But it was physical security. I'm not giving this one up. It's in order to ensure that our rights as Americans remain protected. Is that wrong?
You're right to, I guess.
Safe protest.
Yes.
Yeah. And jumping ahead a little bit, because we're pretty heady here. What can people who aren't in the military do? Are there concrete steps that your average American can take to protect our fundamental civil liberties in this country?
I would say one of the biggest issues was not critically thinking about the information that is just spewed out there. So much misinformation.
That's an Eminem moment for me.
It's just, don't look at the headline of what you read on the internet, because there are many times people cite to me in just a headline that's meant to capture your attention, but you read the article and it actually says something else. Think about what you're reading and stay informed and educated, because you'll see, by remaining in the darkness and hearing what you want to hear, getting that soundbite you want to hear, it's vacant. And it's going to lead to what we have experienced we're facing it for almost 10 years now, of just constant misinformation. You just have to think about it. It's not that scary. There's no conspiracies. Just really think about it.
Well, to me, it is quite scary. And my professional travels have led me to understand some of the conspiracy theories a little bit more, but we are not going to get into that today.
Oh, man.
Danny, what concrete steps would you recommend the average American take?
Well, Laura, that was the best one you possibly could have named, I think. We have the government we deserve. That's the amazing thing about the way our government is structured, is we get what we deserve. And if we have an informed citizenry and we have people who, know why they're voting for someone, then that's the best thing you can do, is just to stay informed. Obviously vote. I would hope everyone who's listening to this podcast votes. Donate. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but donate to the candidates and the causes you believe in. Because
snaps for that, because people talk about money in politics, and I wonder how many of those people are donating to campaigns.
Yeah, money is a huge problem in politics. But what money does is it helps a candidate communicate to voters and let them know who they are. And as a voter, if you just pay attention and you go to the websites and you do what you need to do, a candidate wouldn't need to raise $10 million to buy ads.
Exactly. And I didn't think about stuff like that until I started to worry a little more about corruption in government.
Yeah. So, and I'll say one more thing. Try to understand the other side. A lot of Americans believe if you are on the other side, you're a bad person and you're wrong. And this is probably not going to be a popular thing to say to this audience, but there is a reason why a lot of people voted for Donald Trump that didn't have to do with the fact that they were racist or anti-democratic or, wanted a dictator, wanted to keep Mexican kids in cages. People have reasons for believing what they do. They have life experiences that get them to the point, where they might want to vote for somebody like Donald Trump. And by demonizing the other side, by saying anybody who votes for Joe Biden is a moron or whatever, which I have lots of Republican friends who believe that. By demonizing the other side, you're never going to pull them your way. Mm-hmm. And that was the biggest difference you and I had in law school.
Exactly. I thought the same thing. That is something that took me a while to learn.
For example, the second you call someone racist, you're never pulling them to your side.
Correct.
You can't shame somebody into believing what you believe. So the more you just talk to people who don't believe the same things, to understand where they come from, to have an honest dialogue, that's, I would say, the best way to kind of rebuild a semi-crumbling American democratic system.
That's an inhale, exhale moment for me, because it's so deep to me. And I have so many family members who are coming to mind as you are talking. People who don't believe the same thing that I do, but we find our way to talk about that with each other without yelling, without it jeopardizing Thanksgiving dinner, and just listen to each other. And everybody grows so much when we do that. And it took me a long time to learn that I needed to shut up and just listen to people. And Danny has watched this progression in me.
That reminds me of one of my favorite lines I ever read in literature. And it was John Steinbeck, East of Eden. It's one of my favorite books. And there's a character named Lee who's Chinese American. And the story is like he has to fake an accent because that is what white Americans think he is. But he's actually this very articulate, very intelligent, profound character. And he says, the best conversationalist is a good listener. Now, that's just always stuck with me since I read that book ages ago.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of conversations about politics and democracy with people. That's just kind of the person I am. And I keep accidentally spelling democracy, democrazy. But I feel like if the shoe fits. And this week I was just discussing Philly corruption and the Philly shrug with my neighbor, who commented to me, he's not a lawyer, and he commented to me that this country is supposed to be one of the best in the world for civil rights and good government. So it made me want to ask today, are we?
I've lived in other countries, not just visit. I've lived in Scotland, Germany, and Argentina. And my experience with those governments is really the United States has something special. And I'm not just saying that. I'm military and, flag flying behind me. It really is an experimental country, one where what we have done in civil rights, though it is bumpy, we have confronted our problems, and we're still confronting them, and they're still going to arise. And other countries, such as, ones in Europe, they are confronting the same thing, but they're not so open about it because it's very new. And so you have a group that are trying to confront it, and then others who still want to tuck it away. So I think as far as civil rights, we are very used to now, and we are very willing to confront it and try and resolve it, as messy as it could be. It's not a clean cut. You can just make a law and change how people believe and what they think.
And that can be a little unusual around the world, right? Some countries do that well, some don't. And we try our best, and we have a lot of processes in place. We have the state system, the federal system, local government, our tripartite branches of government. So are all of these people secretly working together in a grand conspiracy to deprive Americans of civil rights?
Well, Lauren used a great word, which is messy. And I think we're often compared, you think, oh, things are so good in Sweden. Things are so good in name nice Scandinavian or Western European country. It's a lot harder here because we are a heterogeneous as hell country.
That's a great way of putting it. Heterogeneous as hell.
Yeah, it's a lot more difficult to come up with some sort of effective, efficient, uniform government when you have so many different interests here. I mean,
it's high impact, high spice. You want the warhead?
Yeah.
Maybe this is the moment we can get you to eat the warhead.
And in America, you've got not just liberal and conservative. You have urban, you have rural, you have suburban, you have super rural, you have farming, you have, and not just liberal. I mean, we come in different varieties. New York and LA are very, very different places and different types of people. And you're bringing these 327 or so million people together and trying to make a government that works for everybody. And that's very, very hard. I would say we're doing a pretty good job given, what we're working with.
I would agree with that. I don't think I would have agreed with you in law school, but now that I've been around the block a little bit professionally, I would agree with you. And I was thinking of Pennsylvania while you were talking, because your description of the whole country, I think all of that applies to Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, drive through Pennsylvania. And it's a remarkably diverse state. I mean, everybody who's listening to this probably knows it's Alabama between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but you have white working class in Scranton, and you have a huge Hispanic population growing in Lancaster and the Lehigh Valley, and you have the Philly suburb. And we make it work, and it's messy, and it's not perfect, and it's not working amazing for everybody, but everybody has a shot. And actually, I think Pennsylvania is doing a pretty good job. I think our government is pretty good relative to other states, if I may say.
I am from an area that is more remote than exists in Pennsylvania and quite conservative.
Where are you from?
Upstate New York. Saratoga County, which is north of Albany.
I feel like I knew that. What's your area code? You have like an upstate New York area code, don't you?
I'm from the 518. But my area code is from Jersey. Okay. So I claim a little bit of Jersey pride too. But my family is overarchingly quite conservative. And so it's something that I resisted for a while, and probably contextualizes law school Liz a little bit. But as I've gotten older and come to finally listen to people and understand, they're not wrong about everything. And in fact, they're right about some things. And the complexity is in figuring out who's right about what and which day of the week, because it might be different tomorrow or yesterday or next week.
And I find it interesting because, we get compared a lot to, Western European countries, they do things so quickly. And yet when I was over there in the university context, and the students who are European, they are figuring out, think of the EU. That's almost the same setup as the United States. Each state is functionally its own country. Mm-hmm. And they're like, how do you have the UK compare with Spain? Well, they're having issues. The UK wants to get out of the EU. They've been deciding that for almost 8 years now. But they are figuring it out as well. And we at least, I think the United States, though we have trouble moving things along quickly, we confront it. We're discussing it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
When people don't realize it's being discussed, it's still being discussed. Just 24/7, 365. There is somebody out there talking about the problems in this country and how to fix them. And that's one of the reasons we decided to do this podcast and to rebrand our podcast into Cleaning Up Dirty, because there's just such a disconnect between the public and government, and the public's perceptions of government versus the reality. But then there's some dirty in there too that needs to get discussed and isn't getting discussed. So we wanted to create a space for these difficult issues to be spoken about in a way that might make sense to your average person and your average voter. Well, I want to ask if you have any advice for the cynical millennial who believes the system is irreparably broken, but I also want to know what you're watching on TV and what you're listening to, so take your pick. Dealer's choice, whatever you want to respond to.
So what can the cynical millennial listen to make them feel better? The system, it's messy, it's tough, it's hard. But we get the government we deserve. And millennials are, if we're not the largest generation, we're going to be the largest generation. You're going to have a millennial president soon. You're going to have a Congress dominated by our generation. And I think our generation is a little more inclined to work with the other side. And I think we sense the urgency of an empire that feels like it's in decline, and we feel a country that's going in the wrong direction. And there's
some of us grew up listening to Evil Empire.
Yeah, and there's an urgency that our generation feels to turn the ship around that I would argue our parents' generation probably doesn't feel. So when you start seeing more of us in positions of power, and I know with this presidential election it feels like it's very far away, but it's going to happen. So just the cynicism you feel, hypothetical, cynical millennial, know that many in your generation feel the same way. Many in your parents' generation don't. And when we take charge, things are going to look better because we know we have to make a change.
We've actually experienced that professionally. We being myself and the mouse in my pocket, have experienced
eating
that.
all those Ritz crackers and spewing them on the floor, making Danny very upset.
Well, I need everyone to know that the table is currently covered in crumbs, and I accidentally knocked a Ritz cracker over, and then Danny ate it. Just kidding. That's fake news. Danny did not eat it.
I threw it with my non-dominant hand about 6 feet into a trash can and made it.
That's impressive. I wonder if we got that on video.
So music, though, which is much more important. I feel like a lot of folks in our parents' generation, I'm 31 for reference, they grew up...
You're 31?
That's it?
Oh my God.
Wow, such a baby.
Oh, didn't
Sorry.
realize that.
And I'm feeling
Oh
old.
my God, you're a tiny baby.
He was born in the 90s.
I was 31 during law school.
Well, you came to law school a little, having had another career first.
Are you calling me old?
No, I'm calling you wise, grizzled, and experienced.
Wise, grizzled, and experienced. Between that and metamorphosis, I think I have a new public profile that I need to build for myself.
But I feel like people
Getting
back to music, which is important. I feel like in our parents' generation, they all my dad talks about seeing Bruce Springsteen in a gym, and Foreigner played their Spring Fling, and they all grew up with these great bands. For me, my version of that is, I don't know if you guys know the Gaslight Anthem.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're like a punk band from New Jersey, and I've liked them since their first album, and I used to see them play in bars and down the shore.
I have to admit, I am not familiar. Where down the shore, and do you have a favorite song? Podcast friendly.
I guess I used to see them play at the Stone Pony and a few different. There was a smaller stage at the Stone Pony they would play at, and I remember seeing them in upstate New York in Albany at a bar.
Wow.
But the takeaway,
I saw Robbie Krieger at the Stone Pony. I used to live right by the Stone Pony.
Huh? Great venue. The takeaway is they just this week put out a cover of a Billie Eilish song and did kind of a punk version of a song called Ocean Eyes, and it rocks. It's incendiary. So I have been kind of listening to that nonstop.
I love that. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, Gaslight Anthem, Ocean Eyes.
Love it.
You gave such a nice response to millennials. I just feel like, suck it up. But it's just, You have to bear in mind, every generation faces its crisis. And if you look at, what our founding fathers wrote in the Federalist Papers, man, they knew people in and out, like that essence of human being. And when you read it, you're like, whoa, people did not change. So they built this system to withstand so far 250 years of bullshit. And you have to participate and vote and just keep doing your duty. U.S. does not ask anything of you, maybe jury duty every once in a while. But man, you don't have to be drafted. You don't have to vote. Every once in a while, maybe you'll get called for jury duty.
And you can duck jury duty. Please don't. As someone who used to call ready in jury trials, please don't duck jury duty. We need you on there. But to your point, the demands of being an American actually are quite few compared to...
Would you want Argentina with an obligatory, mandatory vote with police with automatic rifles patrolling up and down the voting area? That was uncomfortable, considering they were prior dictatorship. Just, as a millennial, you have to look at what you have, and you keep it going, and you keep doing what you believe is right, and just participating, staying informed. That's the way to do it. This is how we have survived some craziness over our short history. I guess on a lighter note, though.
Well, before we get to the lighter note, that is beautiful, first of all.
The flag is waving behind me. I just got Patton moment here.
But it is pretty beautiful, and something came to mind for me. I think it's a Churchill quote. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter, which is a rough one, but we'll ask the audience if they think it's wrong. I hope people say it's wrong, but I'm not so sure people will say it's wrong. So, moving on to that lighter note while I take a self-care M&M.
Can I get a self-care?
Is red okay, or would you prefer yellow?
I question the color.
We have blue, too. Maybe we should do red and blue.
It's gone. So, lighter note, I was inspired by your prior podcast with Joe Kahn, and I started watching.
You listened? This is wonderful.
Indeed. I really enjoyed it, and the part with watching the bear. So I started watching it. Now I only got into 2 episodes of it.
You started the bear because of our last podcast?
I did.
That's so wonderful. Oh my gosh. Look at us. Inspiring action.
So yes, I feel fulfilled that way. Thank you.
Well, considering we are clean air action, our only goal is to inspire action. So even if it's only watching the bear, I'll take it. Have you seen The Bear?
I have. I watched the first season. I'm not totally caught up on the second season. Very inspirational to cook. I've been getting way more into cooking. There's this weird phenomenon that I've experienced with candidates who run for office and don't end up getting elected, where they take up cooking or like baking.
Is this a thing?
It's just so 1,000,000%.
Are they eating their pain away? Or, like, what's going on?
I love that.
There's something, because running for office is so chaotic, there's something very peaceful about it. Losing an election is the worst. I mean, I didn't lose. I had to drop out because of the January 6th thing. But losing an election sucks. I mean, it's like the most personal failure, because it's like everybody says, I don't like you, is how it feels. So the kind of the individual nature of cooking is peaceful, and you don't have to deal with people, and it's just nice and warm, and like you make a pie and you feel good about it. So The Bear inspired me to cook, and not being elected to DA of Bucks County inspired me to cook as well.
My God, you're only 31.
I know, 31. Oh my goodness.
Feels old.
It's a perfect time to learn.
Well, stop wearing your penny loafers and your sweater vest.
It's not a sweater vest. It's a full arm length vest.
All right,
No, it's not a vest. It's not a vest. It's a sweater.
Mr. Rogers.
All right. I'm going to call balls and strikes on this one. That is a sweater, not a sweater vest.
Thank you.
But those are penny loafers without a penny.
Sans penny.
Sans penny.
These I got, these are in some ways the nicest shoes I own, but I got them secondhand. Green Street Consignment Shop.
That's near me. I love Green Street on South Street. I got this blazer, if you will, from Philly AIDS Thrift, just a couple blocks away. It is BCBG, and it was $8. Very proud of that.
LGS BCBG.
Lauren, where did you get your sparkly Converse?
Oh, yes. I live by the Philly outlet, so I'm in the suburbs. They got a Converse store where it never pay more than $20 for a pair of shoes. Yeah.
Wow, I'm going to have to visit you.
By all means.
Danny, are you still up in Bucks County?
I am in beautiful, historic Bristol Borough, where you come for the history and stay for the fun.
I love that. Well, any closing thoughts? Any projects you're working on? Anyone you have eyes on politically?
Really, I'm glad you brought Danny and I together just to discuss what military life is, because I don't think a lot of people quite understand it, and just how important it is this upcoming election to remain informed, to understand what happened in January 2021 was big. It shook us. Don't let that happen again. Get out there, you vote, you look into the politicians that you want, you hold them accountable, and it is so important to participate. Don't get jaded. I mean, come on. Everybody thinks this is the crisis of ever, but it's not. Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
I mean, we're humans, so do your best to be the best human.
Yeah. Beautiful. Danny, closing thoughts?
I agree wholeheartedly. I love going after Lauren because she says great things that I can just say again.
Danny-san. You will learn the ways.
But don't be, irrevocably cynical. Things are not as bad as Fox News and as MSNBC and as CNN would lead you to believe. Mm-hmm. America has many flaws. The world has many flaws, but we have a system that lets you try and fix them, and we try and fix them. And I'm not going to get all sentimental and quote the preamble to the Constitution, but we have.
Please do.
Well, that requires me remembering it. But
we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Declaration of Independence.
It's not the preamble.
That's
no,
the
it's
Declaration.
We the People. Schoolhouse Rock.
Please.
In order to create,
in order
to create a more perfect union, that's we have that opportunity, and we have a system of government where we can constantly improve it. And back to my earlier point, I have so much faith in our generation to lead and to govern, and I have so much faith in the future of our country as long as we step up and take the reins of leadership sooner rather than later. So, what closing remarks do I have? If you are young, run for office.
Yes.
Help somebody you believe in, help a candidate you believe in.
Yes.
I don't think you have any right to complain if you don't participate, if you don't vote. And nowadays, it's really not just enough to vote. You have to help your friends, get out to vote. You have to convince your family members that the person you support is the right person. You should be giving money to candidates and causes that you believe in. You could volunteer with organizations. No matter what it is you do, you have to be involved because really the future of our democracy, the future of our country, and the future of the world, I really believe, depends on our generation getting it right.
That too. Is it enough to just vote your party?
That can be a step in the right direction, but you should analyze candidates critically. But that said, a lot of the times going in and voting all the way up and down the ticket, that's a step in the right direction, for accomplishing what you believe in. But looking at candidates critically, I mean, I'm a Democrat. I have voted for Republicans from time to time in the past few elections. So
I have as well, and I think it's really important to not just vote your party.
Oh, she has voted. Hold on, did she vote for a Republican or did she vote for like a Green Party candidate?
Libertarian.
Do you want to guess?
I'm going to guess you voted for a third party who is not a Republican.
Lauren, do you want to guess?
Oh.
I'll tell you the party because I don't want to reveal the person. Republican. Straight Republican.
What year?
Last year. If you guess, I'm not going to tell you on the podcast. But you can guess.
Are we cutting this?
No, we can keep it on. We'll keep rolling.
I'm going to guess you voted for Republican city council candidate. I got it wrong. I'm getting gesture in the direction of City Hall, and I was going to guess as a Philadelphia Republican because Philadelphia Republicans are not, real Republicans.
This is something that I have started to try to explain to people, that the words Democrat and Republican do not mean what you think they do. There is no one thing that all Democrats agree on or all Republicans believe. And a Philly Republican is very different from a Bucks Republican, is very different from a Center County Republican, and same with the Democratic Party. So I love your call to voters to lean in and really engage and learn more before they come to vote. and I'm not going to tell you who I voted for. But I think it's really important that we keep up the pressure on politicians after we vote for them. Because if they know that we don't know what their names are and what they're up to, then that leaves room for things to go amiss. And we don't want that. And
that goes back to the kind of central theme of we get the government we deserve. And if you're going to check out and just let people do what they're going to do and stay in office because they've been in office, then you're going to get a government you don't like, and that's not representative of what people want.
Exactly. Well, what better note could there be to end on? Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Lauren, for coming on our wacky podcast. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Cleaning Up Dirty. Tune in to our next episode, Is It Easy Being Green? With Heather McTeer-Toney. If you can't get enough of Clean Air Action, check out our website at cleanairactionfund.org and our socials at Clean Air Action.
Now clean up these crumbs.